Hello everyone, welcome back to Comics Kwentuhan. Today we are gonna be talking to a young creator, Cams, aka Breezamiii, creator of Sol Dalusong, a title currently in Penlab.Ink and also part of yung initial lineup nila for Penlab Fresh. Hello.
Hello po.
Yan. For those na not familiar with your work, I would give this opportunity to introduce yourself better than I did.
Okay po. So currently po, I'm a part-time freelance illustrator and comic creator po. And yung focus ng work ko is usually fantasy, folklore, and mythology-inspired works. Yun po. And very recent lang po yung pag-pursue ko ng comics. But before that, I was really into more of illustrations and writing. Yeah.
Yun. And as you mentioned before we recorded, you're a student. You're currently
Opo.
a student.
Opo.
So medyo as in fresh na creator talaga. As in,
Yeah.
one of my fondest memory as a student was I had all this drive. And I get na most of yung mga older creators ngayon that I talk to would say that they would love to have their experience and their knowledge ngayon and the drive they had when they were like students.
Oh.
Kasi ayun nga. So this is very interesting actually. You are integrating Kapampangan mythology
Opo.
with your story. Okay. So before we discuss yung title mo, which is nasa Penlab and is part of Penlab Fresh, tell us a bit about yourself more. How you got into comics, what are you reading, your interest, mga ganyan.
Okay. So I think yung earliest exposure ko po to comics was yun po yung mga comics po sa newspaper. So pag dumarating po yung newspaper and then magbabasa po yung parents ko, hinahanap ko po kaagad yung comic section. So and then from there parang na-interest din po ako sa mga just in general any comic books that are in the bookstore. But I feel like wala pa po akong exposure to the comics community. So kahit ano pong comics na makita ko, basta yun lang po yung babasahin ko. But yung parang mga any book recommendations or any discussions, yun, hindi pa po ako aware with that. But yeah, I think yung talagang na-expose po ako with the comics community was a few years ago, yung first encounter ko po with conventions, so like Comiket. Tapos dun po ako na-amaze na parang, oh wow, may ganito pala. But I think I was only able to attend like once or twice, and at that time, sobrang lurker pa po ako na just going there to appreciate the art and the comics. But hindi pa po ako aware with like, sino pa po yung mga artists or kanino po yung mga popular titles, and yeah. And
so,
then
you attended conventions as an attendee pa lang. You've
Opo,
never
attendee
attended as
po.
a seller.
Yeah. Yeah, pero it was so cool seeing like all the comics and art in that space. Sabi ko, parang I really wanna go back, and then pero the pandemic hit po. Yeah. Pero from there, na-curious po ako with indie comics. And then, kasi my parents din po would talk about the comics they read when they were kids and the cartoons they watched. So like, ang Panday, Darna, the Liwayway comics, tapos, yun, mga cartoons po like Voltes 5, Mazinger Z. So parang when I started talking about Filipino comics with them, that like they were invested in, parang they wanted to encourage this, na yeah, like explore pa more.
Tell us a bit about the background nung what you are taking right now. Are you a fine art student or a literature student or?
Anthropology student po ako sa ngayon.
Wow, okay. So
Yeah.
it's very close to yung topic ng theme ng comics that you're doing.
Yeah.
Ah,
So nare-relate ko po yung, kasi nagko-concentrate po ako ngayon sa archaeology under anthropology. So doon po nanggaling yung idea na, oh, si Sol is an
Mm.
archaeologist by day.
And
Opo.
at least ikaw, you could like back up yung what you are doing with research. Kasi di ba parang
Opo.
some are doing it pero most are taking a lot of creative freedoms with it.
Opo,
Pero
opo.
yung sa'yo is backed up with study.
Opo. And ano rin po, yung Sol po kasi we decided to do a series out of yung, parang naisip ko po, what if I made trivia, like a trivia series out of the research I've been doing para rin po ma-share ko.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. You've been to the conventions, you're studying anthropology. What drove you into making comics? Like you said, you were yung earlier introduction mo to comics were our comic
Opo.
strips that are serialized sa ating mga broadsheets. What made you want to make comics?
I think po, it was wanting to combine po yung interest ko in writing with the illustrations. Kasi po, I'm not super confident in my writing, as in like writing with words, prose. So, and then, kaya po na-interest ako with sequential art. And then nung una po, I wanted to do like storyboards and animation. Pero napakalaking effort din po nung ganun. So, and then I think it was when Atomos reached out po, Atomos Publications team, they reached out na, kasi I collaborated with them na po before, sabi nila, oh, you wanna make something with us kasi you have a character with us, so what if you make like parang origin story po nila. So sinubukan ko po, like make a one-shot comic, and then from there, they were saying, oh, like, okay siya, what if you do some illustrations for our other comics? So parang from there po na-encourage ako na, oh, this is something I can do.
So you did comics with Atomos, sina
Opo.
Sir Julius.
Opo, si Sir Julius po.
Tell us a bit about yung experience mo with that. Did they like sell your book in a convention?
No po, parang we had a previous attempt at a collective before, and at that point, what we were doing po were character designs na postcards, parang gijinkas po. So, yun po yung nabebenta sa conventions before,
So you were
before I
part
even
of that
attended.
initiative. You were part of that initiative, yung
Opo.
gumagawa sila ng, what did they call it?
Parang gijinkas po yata.
Jijinkas
Opo.
of yung elements table of yung
Opo.
mga, yun ba yan?
Opo, opo.
Ayan. Okay. So that was your first comic book work?
Opo. Or yun po, parang not necessarily po comics, just more of parang art prints, postcards.
Mostly art prints.
Opo. So they were there even before I was physically na con pa. Di lang po ako maka-attend before. But yeah, so nung pandemic po, parang they wanted to develop more comics out of those characters. So sabi nila, baka gusto mong gawa ng comics yung ano niya po, yung characters mo. So, yun po, I took a shot at it. And yeah, from there parang from there we started thinking about more projects na rin.
So, where did Sol Dalusong materialized from? Was it matagal mo na ba siyang iniisip na story? Or this is developed after your initial stint with Atomos?
This was after na po. Kasi po, with my illustrations, I have an ongoing series na Kapampangan Gods. So, napa-research din po ako with yung mga myths and the stories of each of the gods to research for yun po, yung sa mga illustrations. And then, parang napaisip din po ako na, I think this was like coinciding with this po yung studies ko po sa anthropology. So, we were talking about yung current issues in the field of like, very underrepresented pa yung mga non-Western archaeologists and archaeology communities. Tapos parang napaisip po ako na, what if we had like a Lara Croft or Indiana Jones, pero Pinoy? So, doon po nagsimula yung idea of Sol, and naturally lang po naisama na rin yung mythological aspect. So naisip ko yung Kapampangan mythology, total po. Nagre-research na rin ako for the illustrations. Isama ko na rin po siya. So doon po nanggaling yung idea na archaeologist si Sol, tapos naging demigod din po siya sa Kapampangan mythology. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned you were doing an illustration set of Kapampangan gods. What is it for?
Wala lang po. Just for personal, personal art. So kasi for one yun, I'm really interested po in researching mythology. Saka parang I really like the style that I developed for the series. So ayun po, gusto ko pong ituloy. Hopefully makompleto ko po one day.
Yeah.
Pero yeah,
Are you
medyo on pause
posting
po
this
siya.
anywhere?
Pinopost ko po, mainly active po ako sa Twitter, but I also post on a Facebook account.
Okay. So yan, kasi our listeners or viewers might be interested looking at yung artworks that we are mentioning right now.
Opo.
So your Facebook page, where can they see it?
How do I share to link or ano po?
Yeah, the link, or what are yung keywords that they can look for so they can chance upon yung page?
For both Twitter and FB po, yung @ ko po is Breezamiii with 3 eyes. So Breezamiii.
3 eyes, okay.
Opo.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so yan. At nawala yung train of thought ko. Yan yung problema mo pag tumatanda ka. So, when did you put up na yung comics? Ayun na, wait pala. Let's backtrack muna tayo ng konti. You said you were particularly fond of the art style that you developed for the series of illustrations for the Kapampangan gods. One thing na usually nagde-delve into ako with yung mga talks ko with the creators is yung influences nila, be it sa writing or be it with yung sa art. So, art-wise, sino yung mga influences mo?
For comics po, I think mix po siya ng yung mga napapanood ko po na Western animation cartoons when I was younger. Kasi nung dati po sobrang hilig ko po sa Avatar, The Last Airbender. So I think laking influence po nun sa art style ko and yung approach ko po to like writing or world building na mga magic and yun po, mga folklore influences. And at saka ano po, there was a time po na nag-editorial cartooning po ako. I think this was like early high school, late elementary po. So I think yung mga habits ko po, like muscle memory from doing a lot of those cartoons when I was younger, pumapasok din po with how I draw yung comics now. So mix of yung animation side plus ito pong cartooning.
And your process for illustration, are you more of a digital artist, traditional?
More of digital po talaga. I started traditional po. Like I really like ink drawing. Pero ngayon po, mostly talagang solely digital na po ako.
Okay. Your Sol first appeared sa Penlab, or did it had any iterations before?
First appearance po talaga Penlab. So
first appearance sa Penlab, and this was last year lang?
This year lang po. Talagang it's really being developed po for Penlab Fresh.
Oh, okay.
Opo.
So this was actually a title that's not wala pa dun sa site before.
Opo.
And it's being developed talaga for Penlab Fresh.
Opo.
Very interesting naman.
Opo.
And nga, it's more on about Kapampangan myths.
Opo.
Actually, maganda yan. Are you from Pampanga?
My dad side of the family po galing Pampanga. Pero ako po din na po ako lumaki in Pampanga mismo. Opo.
Kasi ano yan parang madalas namin din mapag-usapan, lalo na with the older creators, na maganda talagang mas ma-mine yung local stories. I mean,
Opo,
ang
totoo
dami
po.
kasi, di ba? Regionally pa lang,
Yeah.
ang dami na di ba? Per island din, ang dami rin. So, hindi siya parang unified pantheon of, na parang
Opo.
per tribe meron tayo eh. Kaya ang daming tribes.
Opo. Parang in researching po, minsan may madidiscover ka na lang na, oh, may ganito pala. Parang, oh, like, never heard of this before, or parang minsan may note po na it's really specific to this one community, at saka iba na po yung version once you get to the next town or
Yeah, as in,
province.
as ano, di ba? As in, yung short geographical position lang nung mga communities na yon. Pag
Opo.
lipat mo, iba na yung kwento nila. Pero
Opo.
similar, pero iba na yung kwento nila.
True po.
So, aside from Sol, ayan, pag-usapan muna natin si Sol. So,
Sige po.
what would be yung elevator pitch mo with how you would sell it to someone who is not familiar with it?
Oh, elevator pitch. So Sol Dalusong, it's a mythic fantasy adventure comic, and it's about a Filipina archaeologist retracing her roots as a demigod in Pampanga and rediscovering her past. Yun po.
Okay. So, yun nga, very interesting actually. For those who are listening or watching us, there is currently like 4 episodes up on Penlab.
Opo.
And I'm very interested with yung first episode, which you did illustration-wise, yung parang
Opo.
Illustrative lang muna siya.
Opo.
And sobrang natutuwa ako with your art style. It's kind of reminiscent of yung like you said, meron siyang touches of yung mga animated animation style that I think you already mentioned. Pero
Opo.
yung color palette mo is very reminiscent of old Filipino painters. If you get,
Opo.
is it a conscious effort na gawin mo?
Medyo po, I think yung those are actually, some of those illustrations po are from the Kapampangan Gods illustration series ko po. Kasi parang I thought na if they were inspirations for Sol, in a way, parang concept art na rin po sila. So, yeah, parang some of them po, naging reference ko po mga paintings po ni Amor Solo.
Yeah, oo. As in, that's what evoke, yung na-evoke, lalo na yung palette. Yung
Opo.
greens and yung blues.
Yeah.
So ano talaga siya, no? You're trying to integrate everything that you are currently doing with
Opo.
itong project na to.
Opo.
So, okay. So, like you said, it was being prepared for Penlab Fresh. Did you like approach Penlab for it, or did Penlab approach you?
It was Penlab po na nag-approach sa akin.
Because
Opo.
you were doing yung Kapampangan Gods set.
I posted po parang throwaway idea na sabi ko, what if yun po yung what if Indiana Jones or Lara Croft but Filipino, and then I posted po yung pinakaunang concept art ni Sol, her character design. And then ayun po, nag-reach out po yung Penlab na parang is this something you wanna pitch? Ganon. Kahit concept lang. Yeah. And then from there, yun po, naging Penlab Fresh title na po siya.
So, when would we be likely to see yung actual book nitong si Sol?
Ang target date po namin 2023.
So we still have like a year to wait.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be like difficult for you since you will be. Are you graduating anytime soon, or?
In 2 years po. So
you will be doing this book while you're doing yung studies mo.
Opo.
Medyo challenging yun,
Opo. Time management po talaga. So minsan po, sa gabi ko na lang po nagagawa yung pages. So, after all the classes are done, after doing po yung mga readings, or in between, kahit ano pong magawa ko pong draft or page, yun po, dun ko po ginagawa. Any windows of time I have.
Okay. So currently, since you are quite new to the community, do you have like any issues, or what is your ano yung tawag dito? What do you think of the creator community right now? Our creator community right now.
So far po, I'm just, parang nakaka-excite lang po learning more as I'm getting more into this and parang learning all the names. I think, nung una po, nakaka-intimidate lang kasi like, oh, where do I start? Yun po yung pinaka-question ko na like, ano po yung mga, parang minsan like, what are the titles I need to know? Or what are, parang like, yeah, ano po yung entry point? Pero I realized din na, just being here and then being able to start getting to know creators, especially po like I want to get to know mga older creators din po. It's para yung learning more about yung history, especially. Parang at the moment lang po, it's really yung feeling medyo in the dark about what's going on.
So which older creators? Kasi we have like the older creators, like yung from our golden age pa. Then we have older creators that are from the 90s. Madaming old.
Group. I don't know, parang in general lang po, I just want to familiarize myself more kasi parang
kasi
sobrang wala pong context.
Kasi ako, kahit old na rin ako, I really have no knowledge of yung inner workings of the industry before us.
Opo.
Which is also fascinating and also disappointing that we do not have like written works that we could like look at and learn about, di ba? Kasi for the longest time, yung comics has been a big part of our culture.
Opo.
If you would, di ba, it's in yung any media explosion right now about Koreans, Japanese, or the Americans adapting their comic book work into other mediums. We've been doing that since the 1950s.
Opo.
Yung intertwined yung pop culture natin with our comics, and most of the stories na mapapanood natin sa TV, sa movies, or sa mga radio dramas starts out as comics novels.
Opo.
And parang wala tayong wala tayo talagang makikitang work that would make us aware of that.
Sayang nga po parang like the more na na-explore ko po yung comics now, it's like yung feeling na ba't dito tinuturo? Gano'n.
Yeah, di ba? Parang, bakit hindi siya tinuturo? And we would like get a lot na parang sana ganito tayo, sana ganun tayo. Pero we had an era na ganun nga tayo.
Opo.
And then kasi none of it are archived. I mean, even yung mga earlier self-publishers natin, that's why I'm doing most of this, yung conversations with the creators, kasi they have the experience. Yung parang it may be on their own perspective, pero it would be like a glimpse kung ano yung nangyari during those years.
True po.
And din nga, and I also like to kaya I'm inviting then younger creators kasi I would like to know kung ano yung perspective nila about the community and about yung current nating comics and yan. And din nga, kaya ako ganito yung mga tanong ko. Ikaw, you might have a question or anything about comics or comics in general. Yun lang na may masagot ko.
I mean, wala pa akong maisip po. I guess siguro lang po any Filipino comics titles to recommend na talagang must read.
Okay. Mahirap yun kasi mahirap only kasi I might leave out some and magtampo sila or something.
Oh.
Yeah, pero yung favorites naman, usually naman, I often mention naman which are my favorites. Yeah, so this is a totally biased na recommendation.
Opo.
And probably you've already heard of him naman. If you like read any of Sir Arnold Ares novel,
Opo. Nasimulan ko na po yung mythology class. So, ayun po.
yeah,
Ang galing po.
diba? Mythology class, Andong Agimat, Halinang Filipina. You can't go wrong with any of those books. What kind of genre ba are you looking for?
Talagang ano po ako, fantasy, anything na may Filipino myth. Bet ko po.
Anything with Filipino myths. So what else na may Filipino myth that I use? Kwentuhan, if you are familiar with them. Si Taga-Ilog, Melvin Kalingo, and his wife, Joanna Tino Kalingo. They did this comedy series, but it's mostly based on myths, urban legends, mga pamhiin, mga ganon.
Okay po.
So yan, Kwentuhan is one. Urban setting. Yung ginawa ni na Mervin at ni, what was the title of that? I did an article on it before. Yan ngayon, nakakalimutan ko yung mga title. After Lambana, ayun. And if yung book na Alternative Alamat na
Opo.
inedit ni Sir Paolo Chiquiamco, Mythspace. Mythspace is a nice spin on yung ating mga mythological creatures with a space twist.
Opo. I think nakita ko po yung copy ng Mythspace before in a bookstore. Tapos parang sobrang na-intriga po ako sa art. Sabi ko, oh, cool. Sci-fi na Filipino myth. Ayun po.
Yeah. I think you could start with those. I mean, those are great. Tapos if you're looking for any like Filipino-based na novels, Jerry's work has always been great. Especially Elmer, but it's more about family.
Opo.
Jerry Langilan. Yeah, those creators.
Okay.
And we have a current crop then. I'm not as familiar with yung current crop, which is why I'm talking to a lot of you then. So, para din. Kasi these are yung mga creators that I kind of started to read when I was starting then, and some of them are kasabay kong gumawa ng comics. You there? You still there?
Opo. Still here.
A question, since you are starting out pa lang, what do you think would make your work stand out?
I guess yung hopefully po as I develop it, art style. At saka siguro rin po yung the themes or yung aesthetics po, concept. Kasi I like yung fusing different parang themes or different parang concepts together, or so hopefully po parang yun yung maging trademark ko along the way. Or I also like yung parang taking something na very Western and then parang Filipinizing it. So, opo.
Actually, I'm looking forward nga na matapos si Sol. Kasi it would be like, di ba, common pet peeve ng mga tao, lalo na with local creators, that a lot of us actually are more familiar with yung Western beliefs and Western mythologies than our
Opo.
own.
Opo. Ako rin po, yun po yung naging, like, I started with, I think, classical mythology, like, alimbawa po, Percy Jackson. So, parang when I found out, yung first moment of realization and excitement from learning po na may mga Filipino gods and more about Filipino folklore, parang, oh my gosh, ba't dito din yun? Ganun din po, ba't dito tinuturo? Or, hindi siya nabibigyan ng spotlight compared sa mga mas foreign po na mythologies, ganun.
I think ano din kasi yan since like part na rin siguro yun nung na-mention kanina na since we have like a huge number of beliefs and pantheons and as such,
Opo.
parang hindi mo siya matuturo nationally. Kasi
Yeah,
parang
yung risk po
unified,
of,
kasi unified Filipino,
yeah,
di ba? And like, ito, may kapampangan set of gods and legends and myths and epics. And then we have like, mga Hiligay noon yung sa Iloilo na different din yung sa kanila, the Visayas of their own set, the Mindanao. Sa Mindanao then their own set. And even in Luzon, di ba? Yung sa Luzon nga, di ba? Like I said, mga Kapampangan have their own set, the Tagalogs have their own set,
opo.
the Ilocanos have their own set.
Opo.
So I think yun din yung part na yun kaya hindi siya natuturo kasi parang set yung inclusion din, parang bakit ito tinuturo tapos yung sa amin hindi.
True po. Palagi pong may risk of exclusion or parang finifuse or mas mabigyan ng spotlight yung one over the other. So,
yun nga, di ba? If you like give a spotlight to one, what would make them better than yung the other one?
Opo.
So, ano nga, parang so ngayon nagiging sobrang specialized na ano siya ngayon, field of study.
Opo. Saka parang siguro din po kapag tinuro, they have to choose one version to teach tapos baka magkaroon ng conflict na bakit di ba may version din na ganito or di ba mali yun. Opo.
Wait, it could be done like with yung language, di ba? Like they have yung mother tongue subject now, yung they teach pa rin. Kasi ano rin yan di ba? It's important then like you learn yung language nyo in your region din kasi pangit din na mamatay kasi it's still part of our culture.
Yeah.
Ikaw ba? How did you get exposed to the stories that you are like doing right now?
Actually related po siya sa mother tongue ano po. Kasi po as I was growing up, di po tinuro sa akin yung Kapampangan. Kasi my dad had this mentality na parang hindi mo naman kailangan yan or like what's the use.
Yeah, 'di ba? Parang
So, opo. So Tagalog lang po tinuro sa akin in English. And then parang later on po kinukulit ko na po na paturo ng Kapampangan, ganun. And then from there, from teaching me Kapampangan, parang may na-unlock po kami ng mga stories about yung childhood ng tatay ko sa Pampanga na hindi po niya nakakwento before. And then parang tapos we started researching na rin po yung mga Kapampangan myths, Kapampangan folklore. Mm-hmm. At saka parang because I was learning the language, mas may access na rin po ako with any files or documents na may Kapampangan ano po. So and parang from learning the language na immerse na rin po ako into the culture and the mythology. So tas parang yung feeling na where was this as I was growing up. So yung parang may personal link din po na parang reconnecting with that side of yung ano ko po, cultural background.
And parang reinforces din a sense of identity as a Filipino.
Opo.
Di ba? Parang yun, di ba? Ang ano lang kasi nun is parang yun yung problem with that. Parang yung most of us would think, I think mas prevalent sa mga Pilipino yun na yun nga, katulad na sabi ng dad mo na hindi mo naman magagamit yan so hindi siya importante.
Yeah.
And then we would be like growing up, and then we will be looking for yung things that would like make us proud of who and what we are.
Opo.
So yan, importante lahat yun actually, yung native mother tongue nyo ng region nyo, yung
Opo.
stories ng region nyo. And I do hope that a lot of other creators like follow then the footstep of like researching the stories and making it available for a wider
Yeah.
audience. And
Opo.
yeah, when I looked at yung Penlab Fresh lineup nga, exactly Sol is one of the titles that I'm looking forward to, since it is totally based on a local set of myths and yung
Yeah.
beliefs. Oo.
Opo.
Plans? What are future plans? Future plans for your work? Future plans for the book?
Right now po, parang I'm really just looking to find ways to improve yung work. Like, gusto ko pong sumali sa workshops, and hopefully po one day I can go to a con and like, table or like appreciate it talaga. Hindi po yung parang just going there and like lurking. So, and ayun po, hopefully makagawa po ako ng new projects. I feel like na-enjoy ko po yung ganitong more on the fantasy or folklore side of things. So, I know Atomos has other plans din po, like other projects they want to do po, and not sure about with Penlab. So, hopefully more titles. But yeah, focus po muna si Sol. Yun po yung main priority right now, na getting the
So
book done.
Sol would be a one shot, or would it be a series of books?
One shot at the moment. Although minsan may umiikot na po ng mga idea of like spin-offs or side stories, ganun po. But
pero
yeah,
the book that you will be releasing will be a self-contained story.
opo, self-contained po siya.
Okay, so 2023. Oo, sobrang sobrang exciting actually. I'm so excited with yun sa Penlab Fresh titles.
Yeah.
These are yung newer creators, and
Opo.
all of them looks really good actually.
Opo. So, excited din po ako mag-collect.
Excited ako na matapos na tong pandemic na sobrang
Yeah.
ko. Ano ba? Okay. If it's not too much to ask, I'm just curious. How old are you?
20. 20 po.
So 20. Okay, so tama yung statement ko. Kasi 'di ba Bernie like posted a meme about yung sa comics versus comicero na template before.
Yeah.
About yung nagpo-post ng ganun, tapos wala naman silang nilabas for since 2019.
Yeah.
Ganun. Tapos I commented doon na yung iba nga nagpo-post din, yung ginawa ko parang mas matanda pa sa kanila eh.
Yun po, minsan po talaga nararamdaman ko na, oh my gosh, ang bata ko pa in like the grand scheme of things.
Pero no, as in, I like really look up to yung mga bata na ngayon na have the guts to create. Oo. Kasi parang if you don't do that now, when you grow older, you'd like second guess ulit lagi yung sarili nyo. Pero when you're a kid talaga, not that I'm calling you a kid, when you are younger,
Opo.
when you are younger, parang mas marami kang time and drive and yung passion to do things.
Yeah, sabi ko na lang po, like, take advantage of yung excitement mo right now and the energy you have kahit pandemic. Parang just keep doing it. Keep finding ways to learn kahit maraming limitations.
Actually, yan nga. Sabi ko lang is, you're doing great work. I've read yung nilagay mo sa Penlab.
Thank you
And
po.
really makes me interested to look forward nga mabili yung book mo. And for din sa lahat din ng mga younger creators na kasabayan, galing nyo. Sa totoo lang.
Thank you po.
And ayan, sige. Thank you for your time answering my question kahit
Thank
sobrang
you po.
walang structure nitong kwentuhan.
Okay lang po.
And one final thing, since you have already dipped your toes into comics creating, what would your advice be to other people who would want to try their hand at creating comics then?
So my advice would be just to do it. Parang just try it and get into really reading kasi you really learn a lot from reading na parang once you start doing it po kasi I realize na nag-iiba rin po yung perspective mo once you read na you're also trying to pick up on things like things that work and things you want to take inspiration from. So yeah, saka magiging advice ko rin po is don't overthink starting, just get into what you're interested in. Tas yun na po yung jumping point to explore more. Yun.
Where can they follow you? Your work, socials?
So Twitter po and Facebook at Breezamiii, 3 eyes.
If you don't mind, why did you choose that pen name?
Actually, yung tatlong I po kasi, meron na pong naka-claim ng Breezamiii na suspended account. Yun lang po yung dahilan kung bakit di ko magawang Breezamiii na isang I lang.
Pero actually, if you just look for Breezamiii, yung account mo, yung lalabas.
Okay.
Even if you
Opo.
don't like put the 3 eyes in it
Opo.
sa Facebook.
Okay.
I haven't tried it sa Twitter.
Opo. Pero yung name po from amihan, tas yung breeze kasi po malamig yung breeze. Kaya Breezamiii. Opo.
Okay, so it's a play on word. No?
Opo.
Okay. So yan, thank you.
Thank you po.
Cams, thank you for the time. More power to your work. Looking forward to Sol Dalusong and to your future projects then. For everyone that listened, watch the video. Please do leave a like, share this video to your friends, share this video to anyone who is interested with local Filipino comics. Let's us support Filipino comics creators, support Filipino comics titles. Subscribe to the channel kung gusto nyo lang. Pero kung ayaw nyo naman, okay lang din. Every 4 p.m. ako nag-upload ng mga conversations with comics personalities. Yun lang. Stay at home, stay safe. See you guys sa mga susunod na videos. Bye-bye!